This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, nerds. I'm Mark Weber, and you are listening to A Graphic Conversation, the bi-weekly podcast where we read, discuss, and review the best, and hopefully not the worst, in graphic novels. Today I am joined, as I always am, by my good friend and fellow man-child, Ricky Widmer.
What's up, what's up?
And for this episode here, we have read a fucking huge book.
Oh, it's so big.
It's Invincible Ultimate Collection, the hardcover, Volume 2.
Yeah, just thought that it was hardcover, didn't you?
Yeah, because it's nice.
Nice
it's
and
nice
hard.
When it's
Nice
big
and hard,
solid.
right?
You
Yeah.
can smack someone in the face with it if you wanted to.
Just
You
smack
shouldn't.
him in the face.
You shouldn't do that, but you could. Now, the thing I'll say about this, obviously this was a continuation off of something we had previously read. So there is kind of a bit of prerequisite homework to this one.
If I can find it, I'll put it in the description for you guys.
So if you don't know anything, let me tell you a little bit about the podcast, and then I'll tell you about Invincible, the Ultimate Collection, the hardcover Volume 2. So this podcast here, like I said, it's every other week. We read, we discuss, we review a different graphic novel. Sometimes they're related to movies. This is one of those times where it's not related to anything. We just wanted to read it, and we talk about it. We have a spoiler-free section, which is right now. We don't get too much into anything because obviously quite a bit of spoilers happen, especially when something is a second version of it, a continuation. But we will warn you guys before we start ruining and spoiling everything, and we'll do that. Hopefully you want to read this too and you join us for the discussion. Maybe you've already read it, but if you do not want to read it, you don't care, you just want to be part of the conversation, that is fine as well. Go down to the comment section, enjoy. You can get at Ricky Widmer, at Ricky Widmer. I am at the Mark Weber, or at Most Valuable Pod. You got so many options, guys. So let's do this. The comic book that we read this time, the graphic novel, Invincible, Ultimate Collection, the hardcover, Volume 2, is, I just like saying the title because it's so big.
Just like the book?
Just like the book. The book is huge. It's like 350 pages.
We'll put a picture of it on the Twitter before we leave today.
It's
so
the
you guys
real
can
deal.
know when we recorded this.
Yeah, so you guys are like, why is that right there? I don't understand. I'm very confused. So let me tell you a little bit about Invincible. So Invincible was made by Robert Kirkman. You might know the guy because he made The Walking Dead. This is another one that he did. It is his superhero universe that he created, and it follows the teenage superhero who is Invincible. That's his name, Invincible. The son of Omni-Man.
Shares the first name of you.
Yep,
His name's
Mark Grayson in this one. He is the son of a great superhero named Omni-Man.
Omni-Man.
And it just kind of follows his life. It follows what it's like to be a superhero in this world filled with superheroes. And it's nice because Robert Kirkman in this universe, he can do whatever he wants. There's not much I can say about this book without really spoiling things that happened in the last book. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let you, if you are interested in it, you definitely should check it out. But Ricky, let me ask you the question, of course, who is this graphic novel for? Who should read it?
This is for anybody who likes superhero stories. So if you're a person that's like, you know what, fuck it, Marvel, DC, whatever it is, Batman, Superman, Flash, I just like reading about superheroes, this one's for you because it's kind of got a mix of everything, I think, where it's like, to me, it's kind of like it's got that Spider-Man aspect of it where, yeah, I almost called him Dick Grayson. Mark Grayson and Adam Eve go to high school together, kind of like Mary Jane and Spider-Man. But oh, wait, just imagine if Mary Jane had powers too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's like. The kids have powers.
Sometimes Mary Jane does have powers.
Sometimes she does. You got to read I don't know if we
Spider
deleted
Island.
I think we deleted that episode because
It's not deleted.
It got.
It's not deleted. Some people still in the world still have it.
One day we will re-release it for you guys. But that one
We can make that. You know what? We can make it an early Patreon exclusive, but one day it'll probably be released to the whole world.
That one got raunchy. That one got raunchy really quick.
Ricky was afraid of getting fired.
Yeah,
basically is what happened.
I was a teacher at the time.
Yep, you were afraid of getting fired.
Yeah, I may still get fired if we release that one. I don't know.
You might.
I don't know.
But so it's very cool because, yes, there are a lot of references to other superheroes. But Kirkman really just kind of, the thing I like the most about it is he just creates this world that makes sense for superheroes. Like, it actually makes sense the way they do it.
At all.
No, you really don't. And it all makes sense and he just goes for it. When there's aliens that come into the story, if they go to other dimensions, if they go underwater, you never question it. You always just say, yes, this all makes sense.
And they do go underwater in this one.
And he does whatever he wants. It's great. It's good. You just kind of go in there and you're like, yes, it's an exciting thing. And you can catch those references to other heroes, to other stories, but everyone feels unique in their own way as well. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, we're going to go into spoiler mode pretty quickly. Because, like I said, this is already a continuation, so there's not much we can talk about early on without it spoiling things that happened in the last book as well. So we're going to jump in pretty quick. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get into spoiler mode, Ricky?
No. I'm trying to think. No. I'm going to say no.
We're going to do it. We're going to get into spoiler mode. We are going to warn you, of course, and tell you to press pause before we really spoil everything. But if you want to read this, now's your time to do it. It's huge, like I said, but go ahead and do it. We really both recommend that you do. I think we both enjoy it.
I love this series. It's this one, Why the Last Man, which we'll be reading later this season, and Morning Glories are my 3 favorite series that we've read for AGC.
Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, if you want to read it, go ahead and press pause in just a moment, not right now, and then come back when you're done and join in the conversation. But
how many people do you think already hit pause?
I hope none.
Every single podcast you do this, I think when you say okay, hit pause, I just imagine people going, okay, now what?
Immediately, boom, got it.
I think we make this joke every week, but
what happens next? So press pause, not yet. Come back and enjoy. All right, now you can press pause. Spoiler zone. All right, we're here. So this
feels different than I've been here last. It feels different. Spoiler mode. It feels like someone's clean spoiler room here.
I hope someone did. Gets a little messy. So we're gonna talk about this. I mean, it starts right away back into the action here. But really, what's important, we can skip a little bit of that first fighting scene, is so Invincible, Mark Grayson, he comes back to his room and Cecil is there. For those of you who don't know, Cecil is the government dude that works with superheroes. He is there. He's basically talking to Mark Grayson. What's going to happen is these guys are going to be working together. But really, what's important here, Mark Grayson's mom, she's upset. Understandably.
Oh, she is so upset.
Life is terrible because her husband turns out is the bad guy, who Omni-Man, remember when I said that Omni-Man's a great superhero? Yeah, he's a dick. He's actually the bad guy. And he left. He beat the shit out of his son and got his ass out of there. Out of Earth. Went back home. So his mom is very, very, very upset. Understandably so. But basically here, I mean, it comes down to Mark Grayson's getting back into his life. He's back into high school. He's basically trying to live out these last days. He's got his girlfriend. He's just trying to have this average life. Everybody thinks he got into a bad car accident instead of the fact that his dad beat the shit out of him.
Make up work at school.
Yeah. It's always a fun thing with Invincible because you do see that side of like, hey, here's the average teenage life.
Well, and I mean, to me, this one kind of reminded me of Empire Strikes Back for Star Wars, because in that Star Wars, Luke fights his father and Darth Vader, and Darth Vader, spoiler mode, if you haven't seen Star Wars and want to, you can fast forward like 2 minutes, but
if you haven't seen Star Wars yet.
Darth Vader just completely cuts off his hand, and Luke's just hanging there, basically pretty much had lost. Same thing that kind of happens to Invincible, where his dad just beats the shit out of him and leaves. So to me, I was getting this very Empire Strikes Back-y Star Wars vibe from it, and just how do I live in this world now where I know what my dad is, I know I got beat up by my dad, and now I have to be there for my mother too.
Yeah, and it kind of goes to he's got so much on his plate, And that's all going to add up. And that's only, that's a storyline that's only going to continue as he gets more and more added on, especially while he's here in high school. But, it's such a huge book, so I don't want to get into every little thing here. But
you know what scene I did like from this one?
Yeah.
The underwater scene.
Yeah, that's a good way to go.
Where it's just that whole exchange where Cecil's like, you gotta hang tight, and Mark's like, come on, man, you gotta help me. I don't want to marry this thing.
Yeah, so he's forced to marry the princess of the underworld fish monsters.
Do we know what their race was called?
Underwater fish monsters. I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. But his dad was supposed to marry
the UWFM, underwater fish monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like TMNT, but it doesn't sound as it doesn't roll off the tongue.
That is cool.
Easy.
They don't have a cool, catchy theme song. They're fish monsters.
UWFM, da-da-na-na.
So
it kind of works.
Kind of in a way. So he's got to marry because his dad was supposed to. Now his dad's gone. So he's kind of stuck.
Yet there's this other fish monster that's like, man, I would love to marry her. And Mark's
I'd love to do that.
Mark's master plan is, wait a second. How about if you emasculate me? And then you can be the alpha male.
Exactly. And it's funny, too, because it's just kind of... This is just one of those lighthearted things where it takes you into a whole other area. It lets you see a whole other part of this world. It lets you know that there's so much stuff going on here while just keeping it fun and entertaining, but doesn't feel like filler. That's the thing I like a lot about Invincible. We've read some comics from other superheroes where there's a lot of filler that is there. None of this really feels like it's wasted, even though it might not be really progressing the storyline.
Well, I mean, I even get that from Kirkman's Walking Dead graphic novel, where it doesn't feel like there's a lot of filler in that. Now, the TV show's different.
The TV show, they have an entire season 2 of filler.
Entire season 2 of filler, but the actual graphic novel gets to things pretty quickly. Like, there's no layover with it. So I want to imagine when Kirkman actually writes comics, there's no fillers with whatever he does.
Yeah, exactly. So it really just kind of, it is kind of just a little bit of a comic relief in a way, but it feels good. It, and it kind of gives you a little bit more of Mark Grayson's character of always helping people out, wanting what's best for them.
Well, plus he didn't want to marry the fish monster.
Because who wants to marry a fish monster? But it also shows you here when Adam Eve is talking in this same issue here with good friend William of Mark's here, and those two are dating, in case anybody didn't know that, even though really it's obvious that Adam Eve and Mark Grayson should be together. But it shows that he's going to want what's best for them. But I just like that little scene where his friend William doesn't know that she's Adam Eve, even though it's super obvious. She doesn't even wear a mask. And he's like, wait, so you can fly? And then she flies him around. Because honestly, if you knew someone was a superhero, you'd do the same thing, right?
How would you feel if you weren't a superhero, but your girlfriend was a superhero? Well, I can ask you because how would you feel if your fiance was a superhero?
I'd be bummed out. I'd want to be the superhero. How cool would that be? I want to fly around. I want to fight people. I want to laser eyes.
You got to take it that way, Mark, huh? The man has to be the superhero of the house.
I just want to be the superhero.
Can't be the woman?
I just want to do it. If I was man or woman, I'd be like, nope, I want to do it. I want to be the one with these superhero powers.
But if you weren't, would you have her fly you around?
Probably, yeah.
I would. I'd be like, you know what? I'm never walking anywhere again.
Yeah, I don't.
You're gonna fly me to the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. So something interesting that happens in this graphic novel. We went to underwater fishland. We go to alternate universes. We go to Mars. It's just kind of...
We also go to different dimensions in this one.
Yeah, exactly. Kirkman is very much not afraid to go all over and go to different places, and that's nice. They do that right away, too, where... I mean, we already knew that Mark was part of an alien race, half alien race, half human. So we know about that already.
Well, that's because his dad was the alien side and his mom's the human side, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it has that Superman feel to it. But very early on, they're like, hey, there are robots. There are other dimensions. There are aliens. He brings these things in so early on, so where when we get to...
It's kind of like common knowledge.
Yes, when we get to issue 40, we don't feel like it's a reach when they go to a different universe all of a sudden. That doesn't feel weird. That doesn't feel strange. It's brought in and it's introduced in the first 20-some issues, and that's great. That's a good way to do it. It makes me feel comfortable with them taking those reaches. And once they start doing those things, it definitely never feels weird when they continue doing them. So something else that I want to skip ahead to, there is some importance with, I can't remember the one character's name, who's the scientist who he's working with the clones, and they're going to the different dimensions to bring together all that same guy.
Yeah.
That version of him together. First of all, I love the clone villains.
And this is
the Mauler twins.
This is the guy in the graphic novel who can hop between dimensions.
Yes, exactly.
But he can only hop between, like, he has to actually, it's cool because he actually has to, like, put X's on rocks. Because he'll jump to a dimension and it'll be that same spot, and you don't know how it's going to look in that next dimension. Exactly.
So it gives you so much cool potential for all these different things that you can see. And I like the extra dimension thing. It's kind of fun. You know, it's when we talk about, parallel universes and graphic novels that do that, comics that do that. It's always just fun to see, like, alternate universe and alternate story, unless it's Superman Red Sun. It's a lot less fun then, and a lot more frustrating.
Well, when I think alternate universes, I like Flashpoint better than Red Sun.
Most people probably should.
I like seeing Batman as Bat Dad rather than Russian Batman.
Dad.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, if you haven't seen Flashpoint or read Flashpoint, I'm sorry I spoiled it for you, but yeah, it's his dad, so it's Bat Dad.
Yeah. So I want to skip forward a little bit.
Go ahead. You're the host.
I want to skip over to Invincible. Mark, he's graduating high school. That's a big important thing because I was surprised the first time I read this, where it was like, oh, he's out of high school now. He's going to college. How is everything gonna change? And once he does this.
See, and that's the thing. If you're a superhero, wouldn't it be like, you know what? I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to fight crime.
You would think.
I'm going to fight crime full time. Fuck going to college where I'm fucking invincible, man. I guess it comes to the point where, well, how do I pay for stuff? But you're a superhero. The government pays for it. Unless you're Batman, you have it yourself.
In this world, it's established that you can be a superhero that works for the government, and that's your job. And because of his issues with his daddy issues, Cecil's already set it up to where his mom is just going to get infinite amounts of money. I mean, his dad's little day job, in quotes, was he was a writer, and they just made up books and they just made them bestsellers. They just kind of, doctored that. So he was rich as hell from that.
Because his publicist was the chick that was married to the general, I think is his superhero name.
I think so, yeah.
The general?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of a whatever type of thing. But it is funny here, so far in this story right now, Amber, who is the girlfriend of Invincible, doesn't know he's a superhero. Not just yet. And I love that scene where she's talking to William, she's talking to Adam Eve, and like, I think he's cheating on me. I think there's something up.
That was great.
Like something wrong here.
And then he'd come in and he'd be like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, shit, I got to leave. And it's like, that is Spider-Man Mary Jane. And
exactly.
It's like Mary Jane thinks, what's going on with Spider-Man? What's going on with Peter? And it's like, bitch, you don't know. He fucking invincible, man. He's a superhero.
Which I do like that they don't waste a ton of time with that either. She figures it out because he tells her. She loves it.
It was the good part of it where at least she didn't I don't know how it would have been if she found out differently. Like, oh, you're invincible. And maybe she would have been angry at it that he didn't tell her.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think it's a hard situation. His mom doesn't want him to tell her because he's like, yo, you probably can't trust her. At least you don't know. It's just a high school relationship. You don't know how this is going to go. What happens if, who knows what will happen? Someone could use this when you guys break up.
Maybe she could become the arch nemesis.
Or maybe, she can be kind of, especially if you break up with her in a bad way, someone could take advantage of that and be like, hey, you hate that guy? Yeah, tell me who he is. Tell me where I can find him. Let's skip ahead. Let's skip past Mars. Because we don't really need to deal with Mars. It's just more of seeing different things in different worlds. I love the scene where Adam Eve is saying, "I'm quitting. I'm done. I do not want to be a superhero anymore. I'm gonna do something good with my life."
Basically, whatever the fuck she wants, because that's what she can do.
Yeah, because Adam Eve has the coolest superpower ever. Her superpower is I can do whatever I want. I can just make things.
oh, that's a phone case. Boom, now it's a piece of bread.
Yeah, and that's what she wants to do. She wants to go basically end world hunger and stuff, and just be like, all right, this piece of dirt right here, that's not a piece of dirt. That's an apple. Here's an apple. Eat an apple. She's gonna go do some good things. She goes basically to end world hunger, and it's kind of a shame because you're reading this and you really want these two to end up together.
How are her and Mark going to be together?
And she's gone. She's gone, so it's not going to happen. It bums me out.
I can't wait that's the one thing where I really want to read volume 3 now, because it's like, is she really gone?
You've kind of figured she's got to come back at some point.
Really gone? That's the thing. Because it's like these characters, the ones in comics that have that polarizing relationship where it's kind of like magnets and they're drawn together, when one leaves, they're never really gone. It's kind of like that 70s show where I know that later on, Eric was really gone because the guy who played him was no longer on the show, so they always had to reference him one way, but it was always him and Donna were going to be together or had that kind of polarizing to where one couldn't be without the other. That's how this is. Adam Eve can't be without Mark.
Yeah, exactly. She's got to come back. It's going to have to happen at some point. So really going forward, like I said, Mark is going to tell Amber. He does. I love that there's a little in the hardcover, at least, there's a little thing for Alan the alien, who's a great little guy. He's fun. If you don't remember him, he's the one that Mark had to go fight.
Yeah,
and then he fights
the pink
him.
One.
Yeah, and then then Alan realizes, oh shit, I'm at the wrong planet. Whoops.
Wait, I got to go back and double check. I'll be back.
And you find out his story that he has is kind of a bummer. It's kind of sad for him.
He's the one that, I'm trying to think from issue 1. He's the one that has to go around and destroy planet. Like, they basically tell him this planet is getting too powerful.
No, for him, he's testing the superhero that defends the planet, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little different than that. But, going forward with this, it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to go too much into everything because, like I said, it's such a damn huge book, and we could spend hours doing it. But there's more just kind of going through his life. There's more seeing him do different things. I love that that this graphic novel, the Ultimate Edition, has these origin stories in it.
I was just going to bring that up. Like at the end with Adam Eve, how you can see her as a kid, see her be born.
You can see a little bit for the Immortal. You see a little bit more for Duplicate. It's very cool. Duplicate has a very cool kind of story here too, where the art style is so different. It looks a lot more realistic to it. So it's definitely a cool little change in that case. Without being too realistic, Adam Eve is in there too. It's all there. Adam Eve, you can kind of see the first time she discovers, hey, this soccer ball is now a baseball bat. And it shows a little bit of that. It's just fun that you get some of that early on, especially if you're reading this for the first time. You get to know these characters just a little bit more. So, with that being said, I hope that you guys did go ahead and read Invincible. If you want to talk about it more, you definitely should get at us in the comment section or at the Mark Weber, at Ricky Widmer, or at Most Valuable Pod. We didn't want to go too far in because it's such a damn huge book.
You didn't ask me the most
We're going to get there.
Part. Okay.
We're going to get there, my friend.
I thought you were kind of going into
we're not wrapping it
ending,
up yet.
And I was like, whoa. Wait a second, man. Wait a second.
So
I was concerned.
I do hope that you guys would go and read it because I definitely am a big fan of Invincible. I just love the world that he sets up, that he establishes. And I just like the way that it feels very real, not only in the fact of like it's you can understand the way this lives and breathes, but it makes sense how these superheroes could actually exist. And that's always a kind of a gripe that people have with superheroes. When somebody tells me, hey, I think these superhero stories are cool, but I just can't suspend my disbelief that much. I point them to Invincible. I think it's a little bit more... It establishes the world a little bit better. But Ricky, I will get to your favorite question now.
Cool.
What are you going to rate this graphic novel?
I'll give it a solid 4. This one had a solid, I love these Invincible books. I mean, they have a solid story. The one thing that we didn't really talk about that was my favorite scene of the entire book is where Invincible meets this guy. He can kind of turn himself into stone. He kind of, it seems like, okay, Invincible's going to bring him onto the good side and he's going to be able to work with the heroes. But then what happens is this guy really just uses Invincible to take down the crime boss that he worked for so that he could take over.
Yeah.
And that was like it had a little mafia kind of spin to it. And I was like, that's fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. You know, there's more cool potential with that later on. Also shows that Mark's a little naive still. Mm-hmm. He's definitely a little still naive. And is that going to be an issue later on? Mm-hmm. Only time will tell.
No, but I'd give it a solid 4 out of 5. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, the first one I think is pretty close to perfect. Mm-hmm. It's great the way it establishes everything.
The second one's never as good as the first.
No, it takes it a little bit step back. It kind of sets things up, and it's setting up Mark's life a little bit more. It's giving him more purpose. It's showing you different things that can happen.
And you're really dealing with, okay, how's not having his dad there affecting him and his mom?
Yes, exactly. And especially as his mom then is lonely because the dad's gone, and now Mark is gone. Now he's out at college. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen next? There's definitely, the way, like you said, the second one's never as good as the first. The third one usually takes quite a big step up. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see one of these days if Invincible Volume 3 can do it.
Kind of like Star Wars. New Hope is good. Empire takes a step back for me. Return of the Jedi is the best.
You've just pissed off a lot of Star Wars fans by saying that, I'm sure.
I love Return of the Jedi. It's my favorite.
People absolutely love Empire typically. That is like everyone's favorite.
I like Return.
That's everyone's favorite.
I like Return. Pit of Sarlacc, baby.
Yeah. Well, and Boba Fett being completely useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like, hey, I'm this really cool looking dude. I got eaten by a Sarlacc. Damn it. So let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section or on Twitter at the Mark Weber, at Ricky Widmer, at Most Valuable Pod. I hope I said those enough so that way you don't forget them. And I will tell you what we are going to read next week. Next week, we're going to be reading Ghostbusters Volume 5, The New Ghostbusters. Don't worry, you don't need to read Ghostbusters 1 through 4. You'll be fine. So this one is basically what happens is the original Ghostbusters that we all know and love, well, they're gone. They disappeared. We don't know where the hell they're at. So we got to get some new Ghostbusters out there, some new favorites, some old favorites. We got to get them together so that way they can be the new Ghostbusters, fight the ghosts, and try and find out what happened to the Ghostbusters that we know and love. If you guys have any graphic novels that you want us to read, let us know down below. If you like the video, podcast, if you like any of it, share buttons, like buttons, heart buttons, whatever they might be, go ahead and do those things. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcasts. Also go to mostvaluablepodcast.com. Make sure you go check all these things out. There's so many things for you guys. We have so much podcast and video entertainment for you guys. You'll never be bored. I can tell you that much. But we will see you guys next time in 2 weeks when we read Ghostbusters, The New Ghostbusters.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.